I had the opportunity to speak to 4 amazing women who had a career change and did the Wagon coding bootcamp. Sophie studied art at university and ended a career in PR, and from a PR manager went to coding. She's also one of the founders from the awesome community Develop Her. I went to one of their events and I've never felt so welcome. Enough from me, let's jump straight into the discussion. I'm going to give you 15 seconds from Catherine, from Wagon, give you a really brief intro, and get straight into speaking to Sophie, talk about her career change and her journey and how she found a job after Wagon. Then you can hear from Catherine about more details on their course. I might even have some cheeky bloopers at the end.
So Wagon is a coding bootcamp, teach people who have no prior knowledge of coding at all, absolute beginners, to become full stack web developers within 9 weeks. We launched in Paris 5 years ago now, been in London for 3. It's brilliant. We teach people just the hard skills, teach them how to work as a team and collaborate and build cool products.
So what is your name and what do you do?
I'm Sophie and I'm a software engineer out on Fido.
And what's an average day for you? When you say you're a software engineer, what does that entail?
I'm currently working for a company that does online verification. Have a Monzo account or Revolut account, and you needed to prove that you were Eddie. And what you would do is you take a picture of your face and you would then take a picture of your document, and they double check if you were really Eddie based on your official documentation. My team precisely works in the document side, so we check for document fraud. I'm currently working on some internal tools that's being used inside the company to check those documents. We're a team of 8 of us all together in my specific section, and my day changes quite a bit. Luckily not too many meetings, which is good, but we generally have like a morning scrum, and then in the afternoon I currently work on a couple of tickets.
And what sort of tech do you use when you say coding?
So I'm currently a mix of back-end and front-end, with a focus kind of in the long run of doing more back-end. So I'm doing Ruby, which I learned in Wagon, which is great, and then also React and JavaScript.
How did you get to where you are now?
I enrolled in Wagon about a year ago. So after Wagon, basically what I did was, I even started actually applying to jobs whilst I was at Wagon. I got a job a couple of weeks after the course, and I started working there in the new year.
If you go take a step even further back,
okay.
So what did you do before you went on the Wagon course, and what kind of gave you the initiative to go on the course?
Before, I worked as a manager at a PR agency that specialised in tech. So I did a mix of Consumer Tech and FinTech. I'd say about a year and a half into my role, I'd say that I wasn't necessarily interested in the PR side, but I really liked tech. And I joined and founded a girls in tech group called Develop Her. So it was a group of 7 of us, and through them I discovered coding. They were saying we were organising coding workshops, we were organising so many different events around the tech industry that made me kind of see what other things I could do. And the other girls who work with me are software engineers, and they were like, give it a go, Soph, give it a go. And I did, and I haven't regretted it since.
What other challenges have you had?
So one challenge I found is that in previous roles that I had, it was very soft skills focused. So PR as a whole, it's got to do with your personality, you're able to sell your organisational skills. You did have tests within the process of getting a job there, you know, lots of rounds of interview, but I wasn't accustomed to the tech test. You know, stand there and code in front of people, and I had some really hard tech tests, not necessarily in terms of what I had to code, but the environment I was coding in. One I seem to remember was I had to stand for an hour and code in front of like 6 or 7 men who all had like 10 years experience, and they just watched me and I froze. Like, it was not a nice environment to test me in or anything like that. I think that afterwards, actually, funny enough, I did far better in the tech tests, because I think I thought to myself, nothing can be worse than that. So I think the environment of tech tests I got very nervous at, and I had a lot of brain freezes, which I'd like to think that now I wouldn't do as much.
That does sound awful. I've been through some awful tests, but that sounds horrendous.
It's also, I think, a bit cruel, because you never have to do that in your day-to-day job.
What advice would you give to your younger self?
I think there'd be 2 things I'd say to myself. First one is, it's not even the younger self, I think every time I go through experiences, I tell myself this, like, you should have more confidence in yourself and your abilities and what you can bring to the table. In terms of where I am on Fido, for example, I'm one of the most junior people. They seem to like my kind of entrepreneurial attitude, being quite proactive, and I kind of bring a new knowledge from my PR days even, that they didn't necessarily know before. And so I wish I had more confidence in the skill set that I currently have, and I hope that I remind myself of that the next challenge that I've got. The second thing would be to be more open to things you necessarily don't know. My journey to how I am currently, I actually studied art at uni. I was always like creative, oh, I hate maths, I hate engineering, I hate physics, you know, like you could think of anything, I hated it. And I decided, I was like, that is not me, and I'll never do that, ever. So I think you should try and keep an open mind and try and learn from everything that you can and be open to learning new things. I actually attended a couple of hackathons when I first finished Wagon. The ones was being with Lambeth Town Council. They organised like a hackathon to help refugees.
Okay.
And I actually went along kind of a bit nervous because I was like, oh my god, will anyone like talk to me? Will anyone want me on their team? You know, like you walk in like, oh my god. And then I went there, and in the end I actually didn't code as much, but watched how the teams were working together, because I had actually signed up to the second hackathon, so they already built their product on the first one.
Okay.
But it was quite interesting to kind of see the team dynamic, and they had split them in between different types of roles. Product manager was there, a back-end engineer was in the team, a front-end engineer was in the team, and I thought it was quite good to see what different types of people did, particularly when I just finished the course, to kind of have a better idea of what they do kind of on a daily basis.
What would you recommend someone like yourself getting into tech and joining a bootcamp like Wagon?
I think that one thing you should try and do before doing a bootcamp at Wagon is making the most of online resources to learn in your spare time. I realised that I wanted to do Wagon because I spent some of my Saturday and Friday evenings on Code Academy. And I could have been out, I could have, you know, seen friends, but I chose to continue to learn. And I think if you are dedicated enough to do it in your spare time, clearly you quite like it, because not most people would want to do their jobs at the weekends. Yeah. So that's always a good sign. Before jumping into it, giving it a go, contact people also on LinkedIn. I find that people who are involved in tech groups like Developer, for example, or there's plenty in London, are often very open to meeting up for coffees, answering emails. I often have like quick Google Hangouts with people who've got in touch with me about my role and what I do in Wagon. And so get in touch with people. Some people might not respond, some will, and you can get better insights into the role by speaking to them than asking your friends and family, because most of my friends and family have taught me I would never go into this role. So speak to people who are already in it.
And so what does a 9-week course look like? What happens at the beginning in the first week, build up, demo day at the end, which sounds really exciting.
Yeah.
So how do you kind of build up to that?
First 6 weeks are all back end, so we have lectures, it's full time, so people come to this office every morning. We'll have a lecture in the morning and then work in teams to solve problems, and then at the end of the day have a live code session where everyone in the cohort of like 40 people will be able to code together and make sure that they've understood the concept. So they'll learn Ruby on Rails for those first 6 weeks, and then we'll move on to projects. So it takes about 3 weeks for everyone to learn HTML, CSS and JavaScript.
Okay, so you pack in a lot of information at 9 weeks.
A lot of information. It's a really steep learning curve.
Do you help them find work afterwards, or do you have like contacts or networking?
So we have a community, we're very active with our community. So there's about 3,000 at the moment of our alumni. So also something that's really important to me is getting more women in tech. It's important for the whole company globally. So one of our main priorities is increasing our gender diversity and diversity generally. So the Hatch Hackathon that I mentioned, that was run by She Can Code to encourage more young girls to get into tech and get into coding.
Hi, my name's Eddie, and it's just here, just in case I forget.